Hi there, this is Ricardo, guitar player for Moonspell, and you're watching Loud TV. Tour has been going great so far. I mean, we know both bands know each other since 1994, you know, and this one is perhaps the bands with which we toured the most, and you know, this is a long-time friendship, so it's like being with family somehow, and it's good because we motivate each other, you know, and the vibe is nice. The shows have been great, you know, and then we are two bands that fit well together. Yeah. Well, I think when we did Alpha Noir, we had this song called Em Nome do Medo, which means in the name of fear, translates like that. And I remember it sounded great being sung in Portuguese, and Fernando was already having this idea of doing an album with songs in Portuguese with a very specific concept, which would be around the earthquake of Lisbon. And you know, after Extinct was done, we decided to, you know, to do like a mini album in Portuguese that was supposed to be like a plus or a bonus for the DVD, for the live shows, the DVD that we recorded. But it happened that you know, we did 4 songs, and after we'd done 4 songs, we realized that we had to do something way longer. You know, it had to be a full album, and you know, we had support also from the record label, and we ended up doing this. You know, and the reason is that we're talking about something that happened even it reflected in Europe, but it happened in Portugal, it happened in Lisbon, and you know, we use a lot of Portuguese words there, so it would make sense to say them in English, you know, and anyway, it was just also a way to experiment something different, you know, and I have to say that we're very happy to have achieved that, you know, because not strangely enough, it's a natural thing that when you write on your own native language, you feel the music more intensively, you know, so that showed us a different perspective on things, and we had a lot of fun doing this. It was really good. We thought about this, you know, but then again, I mean, if you look at, of course, let's not compare things, but if you look at Rammstein, they sing in German, and no one seems to complain about it, and there's a bunch of bands now singing on their own language, like from Iceland, Soul Stuff here, and it's very interesting. You know, Rotting Christ did an album in Greek, which sounded very exotic and very interesting. And even if sometimes you don't understand what's being said there, you know, words can be melodic and musical if you choose carefully. And of course, we were not expecting like that it would work perfectly. But we give it a go, and then it was great that Napalm trusted us, and you know, actually we're having very good reactions. You know, it's like history repeating itself, and I believe when the earthquake happened, you know, society was very different. I mean, you needed a natural disaster to make people start thinking and asking, I mean, is this an act of God? Are we being punished? You know, no, it has to have like a natural explanation, a scientific explanation from this. So that's when mentality started to change, you know, and sometimes it's horrible to say, but sometimes it feels like you need a total disaster to make people think again. And, you know, the analogy to the actual current political or world situation, I mean, it's more than obvious, you know, we're like on the verge of collapsing suddenly, you know. And you can call the saints, like also the politicians, you know, they weren't enough. They never came, and they weren't enough to solve things. So, I mean, it's an invitation to make people reflect a bit more on how are we living? You know, shouldn't we question who's making the laws, whatever, you know?
Yeah, and when it's catastrophic,
yeah, then people think,
and
but it's ridiculous, but it is what it is, you know. It's more metal. It's heavier. I mean, if you're talking about an earthquake, you better be not so romantic and be a little bit more powerful. Otherwise, you know, the message won't go through. Yeah. You know, different albums, different feelings. You know, Extinct, I think it gathered what we are, I personally believe, what we're very good at, which is this, the gothic thing, you know, transitions between heavy parts with melodic and atmospherical parts. And I think we finally gathered all that in the album, and we were very happy with it. And you know, the production was amazing, the songs are really good, but you know, like 70-55 is a different concept, you know, it's different territory, and we've been like this, always exploring new things, you know. It's completely crazy, in my opinion. I mean, you know, it was a big risk, and it was an album that it wasn't very well understood, but there's a lot of people still that they think it's a brilliant album. You know, I think it's a brilliant album, but sometimes I wonder if it shouldn't have been released under a different name, you know. But then again, it's on our nature, you know, to sometimes transpose what's acceptable. It depends. Sometimes we play Soul Sick, Can't Be, or Butterfly Effect. But sometimes they just don't fit on the set list. It depends on which tour are we doing, which songs do we want to present. But I mean, not such a long time ago we were playing Soul Sick, so it's a great song. Yeah, I mean, I believe it was. I think, strangely enough, it was an album that sold more than Irreligious, but it wasn't well accepted as Irreligious, I think, or in some territories, because we were stepping on, like I said, different territory already. I mean, I remember we had these little popish elements, like electronic music involved, and like I said, I don't know if people were ready for that or not, but it was special, yes. For me, it was an album that I really loved to do. That's when I got even more complicated on my guitar work, and you know, all the I don't know, I think the album has a very, has its own charm and a very strong personality. And yeah, it has been 20 years, so we're reconsidering and putting some songs back on the set list. I mean, after this tour, when we get our headline tours, we can put those songs, for sure. Yes, it's booked for September, October. I mean, it just confirmed recently, so here we go, US. Well, we haven't discussed the set list yet, but I believe that we're gonna, of course, keep on promoting our latest record, 70-55. We're gonna play some songs for that, and perhaps, you know, of course, throw in some classics. And, you know, pure deliverance, you know, energy and soul on stage. To keep on working, I believe. I mean, I don't know for how long are we gonna keep on doing this. As long as we feel good, we'll do this. Otherwise, we'll have to think in some other options. I don't know. But I think it's you know, we've been around for 25 years, if not. But I think it's time to think about the future, but not something that we're gonna do right now. Like, we have to do this, or just think about that. One day, this will, you know, eventually will come to an end. I don't know, unless I'm Keith Richards and I want to die on stage, which I don't believe so.
You think about it now?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I'm 44, so it's natural that I start to think that eventually, it's like, time runs so fast that in no time I'll be 64, and, you know, I don't know if I'm still up for it or not, me and the guys. But so, it's not something that is taking our sleep, to be honest. I guess everybody for now wants to continue. What I say is that it's natural that every one of us start to think like, you know, I'll be in my 60s sooner than I think, you know. So we have to think about whatever, you know, what comes next.